other annual things that I bring.
The government ones we obey.
Yeah, US Postal, US Refuge, cemeteries, also in our county, and Cincinnati Township.
Same as Millie's.
Yeah, they're the same ones that I bring to you every year, the same ones that Michelle puts on the drainage assessments that you guys approve. So the total amount, our largest one is always DeSoto Refuge, that one's $4,074.36. So, but the total overall is $5,034.30.
Not much for this one.
No, 525, Little Sue's 900, so.
I'll move to approve the annual drainage updates.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. These we can make it as well.
I'll give her.
Are you the next one as well? All right. let's
No,
just keep-
might as well just keep going.
Yes.
I only have one, because we're in a holding pattern because of our software, so I can't do the other one.
It'd be nice if we had.
Is it not working at all or something?
There were some pickups that prevented, Megan from finishing her portion, which slows me
Yeah.
for my portion, and, I mean, we can do some stuff, but I can't do everything until taxes have been brought over, and
Who's
they,
the next thing to go out?
well, typically they're out the third week of August or
Yeah.
before, but we just sent them to the printer, and we're waiting for verification that everything's right. Yeah, so we're hoping that everything matches, because, you know, software just, there are known issues that they've had, they aren't fixing them, and it's a struggle to get them to do them. I tend to be the, bad guy, and I call and raise a stink when people aren't getting anywhere. Megan wasn't getting anywhere with something. I called, voiced my opinion, I've done it more than once, they don't like to hear from me, so they decided to get some
Are
wheels
they going out
moving.
of business or something, or what's the deal?
No, well, when, well, eventually I probably will, I mean, when Solutions was bought out by Harris, they had all these promises that everything was gonna stay the same, nothing was gonna change, service was gonna stay the same. Well, within probably the first 2 years, people started jumping ship because of bad management. And then, once the people that had been with Solutions for 20+ years are leaving, then you got people coming in that they're doing it remotely, so they're not even in the state of Iowa.
No collaboration.
Yeah, and there's no sense of customer service, I mean, nothing, and no sense of urgency. There's probably only like 20, maybe 25 counties still left on Solutions, I think. They're all jumping, so
Yeah, believe
I
that
just
was
don't wanna
built
be the
for-
last one on the boat. Yeah.
Right. Is that the software that's used for like tax sales?
Everything.
Cause I had a guy say, our software, or whatever program we were using for the tax sale, he cannot understand, but when he bids in Winona County, it's like a lot better, it's easier for
No,
players.
it uses Tyler.
Yeah.
Yes,
Winona,
yeah, they're a Tyler
they-
guy.
They use Tyler, yeah. So, but, yeah,
Do you have a company you wanna move to?
that renewed up, I wanna look at them.
Okay.
There's two options.
They were built,
Yeah,
there was a guy from
Tyler and
Oklahoma
Renigo.
that started it, but then they came to Iowa and built it for Iowa.
And a lot of those Solutions people work for Rico.
Because a lot of counties move to them.
A lot of, yeah, a lot of
Okay.
Solutions counties have.
Okay. Good.
I mean, initially the buy-in was quite a bit, so that's why we were kind of hanging back and we wanted to make sure, and they didn't have all the platforms available, because we don't wanna go to a program that doesn't have all the platforms that work for Felicia, Megan,
I
and
think they
Ryan.
started with Treasurer's platform, now they're building the others.
Yeah, they're doing the real estate, the drainage was a struggle, I think, the last time we talked to them, but, yeah, so, wanna revisit them, just.
Is it good to see how it comes together and how it works for you and all that, or?
Yeah, they have demos.
Okay.
Yeah. My understanding, talking to counties that have moved to it, they like it. It all looks good. It's
web-based
Yeah.
and more user-friendly, my understanding.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other department reconciliations? Alicia, is that why you're here?
Sure is.
There are things in the recorder's office.
Good.
Good. We still do some binding every year?
Yeah, I have them coming in September
Okay.
to redo some books.
It's kind of important, I'm glad you guys are continuing that. I know it's expensive.
Yeah. It's anywhere from probably 16 to 2,100 a book. 2,000.
What are all those books in the safe in the basement? What are those some of them that you're responsible for, or what are those for? There's hundreds of
I
them.
haven't been on there in a long time. I don't know if they're, those your guys'.
It's on my
forward.
safe.
Most of that is for, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what you're doing.
Thank you. Tina, how are you this morning? So you put the new ones on the front. I like that.
Did you get your Denton trained over there?
Yeah. You look like a book thing. Right. All of them?
Every day, maybe, busting my chops.
We will move to action discussion on RFP for county roads. I don't know if he's coming in or not, but basically, I think we just take action, in my opinion, take action and direct him to reach out to get RFPs, update the zoning ordinances.
Yeah, we need to do that. I think. We haven't done it for 20 years, I believe, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's might even be longer than that.
Yeah.
With wind and solar and now data centers.
I think Matt's aware of it.
Yes.
So we just need to direct him to go ahead and get the RFPs. Okay. So he hasn't even started asking.
Good. Looking for direction from
that's
this
right.
way.
Make a motion to direct Matt to get RFPs for county ordinance.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I was wanting this one to be an action, but this is discussion.
Why wasn't it action?
What's that?
Why wasn't it action?
I think there was just some miscommunication on my part. Is there anything that you guys would change on this?
Well, not that I can see, I think this is a straightforward resolution. I know there's some questions from Kurt on this. This is for one year.
I think it is until the zoning ordinance.
Until the ordinance is done, so it could be sooner than that. So, and I got it.
October 1st establishes it expires October 1st or until we get zoning ordinances,
Yes,
2027.
until the ordinance is developed, it says.
So a little over here. 2027.
Right, right.
You know, I'd like to hear from Kurt on this.
Kurt, you want to read it?
Yeah. I got a little more information today, Kurt, 'cause currently, we don't have the infrastructure for data centers, is that correct?
I disagree with that, we do.
Okay.
We do in certain places, if we cite those correctly. So I'm representing Harrison County REC, I'm the Director of Economic Development. And one of the main things I'm concerned about the ordinance is that, kind of two things. We know the ordinance is going in place to protect, infrastructure that's here and not have detrimental effects on the livelihood of our citizens. The opposite side of that is, this is a great economic development tool for us as a utility to provide provide, like a commercial type load with, that will help us sustain our rates. And, we have sites, infrastructure ready for typically between a 2 and a 30 megawatt site that's already there, that we could be using to benefit our membership and our county.
So there's some disagreement within your organization?
The,
On
for size wise,
Okay.
you know, if we go over that, you know, there is definitely infrastructure upgrades. Depending on where the sites are, infrastructure upgrades may be needed, you know, there may be generation, extra generation needed, and, infrastructure, transmission lines, distribution lines. We have policies in place all the way up to our generation co-op to protect our existing membership of any detrimental effects from this, which would include the developer paying for any infrastructure upgrades for generation, for transmission delivery, for distribution delivery. So those are already in place. And my job is to look out for our members. And, you know, so we are very good stewards of our electrical grid in that fashion. We have, emergency, energy action policies in place already. That if we get up to, emergency, levels on our electric grid, that we have large commercial loads and substations in a priority list of starting to cycle those. These loads would be on a load management, policy that would knock them off first.
So a lot of that, Kurt, though, is down the road. I mean, as far as this moratorium goes, this is just on the large scale until the zoning ordinance is put in place. This is only for the large scale. The ones that you guys already have are not addressed in that one.
This is not-
Okay,
this is-
I haven't had time to read
So-
through this, so.
My thought is when we get the RFPs and we decide which company we're gonna go with to update our zoning ordinances, at that point, we should put somebody from the REC board on to have some input into them ordinances at that time.
That would be great.
I think the big question that I had, that you guys answered, is that this does not affect local rates. This is a separate deal for your
This would affect local rates in a positive way.
Positive, you're right, positive.
Now, the large scale, they have to update the infrastructure, they're not gonna pay for that.
That's
The
not-
Googles and those companies are not, what they're doing on some of these facilities is they're bringing in their own power generation and placing next to it. So they're not even tying into REC or Mid-American.
The big question I have, which you can't answer, is the water.
Yes. And that was one of the things that needs to be addressed in the ordinance codes.
Yes.
Closed loop system, non-evaporative.
And I'm sure Matt will reach out, but I told Kurt, we need their input.
Yeah.
That's right.
What all this moratorium's doing is putting a stop to it until that zoning ordinance is
Yeah.
updated.
Yep.
My concern is large scale isn't identified in this. It keeps saying large scale, that this, you know, moratorium is utility, large scale digital asset mining, but we're not defining large scale. Who's to say that they can't put one in and say, well, this isn't large scale?
I don't think they could put it in, though, you still would have to come back for zoning change, if they tried to. Because this would be a commercial.
Yes. See, one of the things that they recommend in the zoning ordinance, the webinar I sent through was data centers should be a special conditional use on industrial zone.
Yes.
So the board of supervisors would still have to approve the zoning for any type of, we would have the final say.
I agree with Rebecca that it's really leaves a big gray spot there if we just categorize it as large, because, you know, large to me is probably not large to
Yeah.
right? You know, it's all a personal perspective on
And
that.
this is just discussion, we're not gonna take action. I will get with Matt and see if there's some language we can apply.
So I think this ordinance, or the moratorium, if I heard you right, it would be, till October of 27, or until an ordinance is established.
Well, and my concern, Kurt, is you guys purchase your And so you can't necessarily say that they're not gonna raise the rates.
We have so the cooperative, it starts with, I use Tony as an example. Tony is a member of our cooperative, so all of our members form a cooperative, of which a board of directors is established with those members. The same thing is with the local distribution cooperatives. They form a transmission cooperative, which is NIPCO in our case, and though NIPCO's board of directors is made up of the board of directors from those cooperatives, and Basin Electric is out where we get our generation from. They're a electric cooperative that is formed of the board of members from the transmission cooperatives. So essentially, we do control those. It's the local government of that entire electric cooperative system. So it does have control back clear down to essentially our membership.
But I mean, anything to do with if this river were to have one, all the costs associated with that is not against the local cooperative.
Correct. We have, if any.
We need to bring it back to the moratorium. I mean, the subject
Okay.
matter is moratorium, and we're kind of
Okay.
going off on the rates.
Yeah, we do have policies in place to protect us.
We'll get this, okay.
Yeah.
And we also have, REC is not the only power supply in Harrison County, so Mid-American is also.
I appreciate the discussion.
Good.
Thanks for your input.
So
We will, I'll
thanks.
talk to Matt, yeah, see if we can get something in there to indicate,
Can we, do it in a couple of weeks?
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so no meeting next week.
Oh, you are one next week.
All right, condemnation list updates, it was brought to my attention that Gail Witt does not live in Harrison County, he was on that.
Okay.
What was he,
He was agricultural.
okay.
So you get a-
My recommendation would be Kenny McIntosh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the other thing, it was, I talked to Jake Chapin, and he said he does actually live in Harrison County. It's close to the line, but
Is
it's
he really?
actually in Harrison County.
Because you go at a gun line, but it says Shelby County, you might squeeze in there.
Yeah, he said his address is actually,
Okay.
but I don't know if he could go on as agriculture, I mean, he is.
Well, you need to replace a banker too, because Banker West is
Close
closing,
there.
Woodbine is closing, and you have a banker from Banker West, or being.
Yeah, so he would do that with
So
anything.
that one needs to be replaced.
Okay, so you want
He said he'd
to
serve on that.
in for him, and then,
You still need an ad.
and then Kenny McIntosh for the ag.
Yep.
Jake.
Jake, yeah.
Is there a motion for that?
Make a motion to put, Jake Chapin on the condemnation list as the banker, and Kenny McIntosh on the condemnation list as the agriculture.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion regarding personal time resolutions.
I did talk to all the departments, and this affects a very, very small amount of people. Children court?
This is the one that had the meeting over. What are you looking for, your Smith Davis one?
What's that?
The one that said Smith Davis?
Yeah. I never would have found that. I just have that resolution. Go ahead.
I did talk to all the departments, and it would affect, it's gonna affect a very small amount of people. And I mean, we're not gonna take action on this today, but I wanted to have you guys think about changing that. You had talked originally about changing that 480 number, and we can do that by resolution. And consider, you know, when we just, by the time we come to it, I didn't wanna ask, I guess Sarah, is Sarah the one that typed this up for us? This resolution, the personal time payout resolution?
I did.
Okay, I I didn't wanna ask her to change it, you know, and then have you guys, I don't want to
Right.
go to any work until we know for sure how we want it.
I guess, and I understand the 480 hours, the 12 weeks, right? But they can only take 100 hours per fiscal year.
They can only ask to be paid for that.
Paid out.
Paid for that much, yeah.
They could take the whole 12 weeks if
Right.
they wanted.
That's part of what we call it. FMLA. So I guess I don't have a big problem with that. How does it work at the end of the term? When their employment's done,
They would be paid out for their remaining hours in the May.
that they,
Right, and that's why, you know, this affects a very small amount of people right now. We've got quite a few young people in some of the offices. And so I'm looking down the road when it comes to people retiring, if we're sitting there with 480 hours to pay out. in
Retirement's not the issue, because that's budget. The department has budget, they know that retirement's coming. What turns out to be a problem is if somebody leaves unexpectedly, and that's not budgeted.
Right, but even when they retire, that's a pretty good chunk amount to pay out, so I say that we reduce the hours, the few employees that are at that, pay them out for, you know, it would be 100 hours. And then, see, I'm not for the, I'm
how
not,
many hours personal time do they earn a year then?
is it a month been here, right?
Depends on where you work, but 3 days for the first 10 years and 4 days, 5 days after that.
So right now, they can earn 30 days in 10 years, is that right?
3 days per year.
3 days every year.
3 days a year.
So for 10 years, it's 30 days, right?
So it's something to think
You'd
about.
have to be here,
It's only an issue after you've been here 20 years,
even 20 years, you only earn 60 days.
but then it jumps up after 20 years.
Okay, then it
where
goes
you get
5 days, okay, so then it goes to 50, so that's 80 days, you still would have to work almost 20 years. Yep. So, I guess, I don't have a large problem with that.
With leaving it, or?
I'm fine with the 480.
Yeah, I am too, because who's gonna wait till the end to use their personal time? I mean,
Yeah, most of the time, because you don't have any vacation for your first year,
right,
that's what
Use it
you're
up.
using. You get 3 days.
you usually don't wanna go to a funeral and take vacation time.
You can't, you don't have time, you
Yeah.
don't have time, so you gotta use your personal.
Megan, is this what some people use when they retire to pay their insurance, so that they continue to have insurance?
Fantastic.
The only people that can technically do that are the
You.
grandfather
Yeah.
union. And that's
We
pretty
should,
simple.
The other problem I have with it, I guess, is I feel like it's, if you start paying out the 100 hours, it's discouraging people from taking their time because they can get paid up for it.
but they're gonna get paid either way.
Right, but if they're gonna get paid, if they take it, they'll get paid, but if they don't take it, they're working, and so they're getting paid to work, and they're getting paid for their payout.
You can still get paid, correct, either way.
But there's wording in there that there's very few people that can even take advantage.
I'm just looking down the road, I just think that there's very few places that have that in the regular world. There are very few places that let you bank that's 12 weeks. Up to 12 weeks.
After, how many years did you have to be, if you get that?
Assuming you took another
You never get that.
20 years, you would max it. Assuming you didn't take
But
any
they
of those
already earned,
hours.
they already earned it. You already would get paid for it anyway. If they took it, you still would pay it, so I guess it's 6 1/2 years.
But you're only paying once. If they actually take it, you're paying for them. They're not at work, they're not earning, they're getting their payout.
Right.
But if you start doing a payout, they're working 40 hours this week, they get paid that 40 hours, plus they're asking for a 40-hour payout, they're getting, that week they're getting double, where if they actually just paid for it and weren't there.
But if they never take it, right? They've earned it, it's theirs. So we either pay them then, or we pay them later, I guess.
But up till now, it's always been use it or lose it, right? You use it or.
Not on this, it's been banking, that's, we even have people that are over 480 because department heads haven't managed.
Right, and that's why we end up with these big, huge, it's supposed to be use it or lose it, I should say, up to 480 hours.
Vacation time is using it.
Yeah.
Comp time is using it. You have a year.
Okay, so we're,
Personal time is different. Sick leave, you lose. You don't get it paid if you lose.
this doesn't say comp time, though, it says personal time,
It's
that's.
there's 4 different silos. You have to get your mind wrapped around which silo you're actually talking about. This is the personal time silo. This isn't comp time, this isn't sick leave, this isn't vacation. Those are using and losing. This is the one that they can make. This is the only one that they can make.
I think what Rebecca is saying is that they can only bank up to 480 hours, and at that point, if they continue to accrue personal time, they would lose it, which I think is a hardship to the employees who have put in the retention time, the employees who are at their threshold and are having to work because of their operations. They're not able to take the time off because there's no one to fill their place, which is why that there's an operational exclusion in it. It would address most folks in the upper departments of the sheriff's office. It would be the sergeants who have put in the time with the county, who don't have a person to come in and take over their shift and aren't able to utilize their personal time, because if they did, then there's no one
It's
to
an operation.
supervise their team. So I think that
But you're wanting to do the opposite of that. You're wanting to cut these hours back, 480 down,
To 380.
and then they still lose it. They don't get paid out.
They
If they
don't.
go over 380, they just lose those hours.
Well, and we would have to do some type of deal where they were gonna have to get paid out for it now. I mean, it's not fair to take it away from them completely. Let's say, okay, you that 100 hours down to 380, yeah, we're gonna have to pay out for that. It's not right to not pay them for it if they earned it. But change that max to 380 from here
And then moving
forward.
forward, if they go over 380, they just lose the hours.
Well, yeah.
There's no opportunity to get paid back for these hours.
Well, and there
They
is
have to use it
the,
or lose it.
other than the exception, like she said, that, okay, and part of that is we need to staff the departments to the point where they do have somebody to cover.
I think even if you're staffing the sheriff's office, you're not able to staff four sergeants. I think if you take the bank and you roll it back, and you're not allowing the folks with longevity to enjoy their benefit, you're penalizing people who have put in their time for the county. That would be my caution on it.
They can cash in if they get to 100, at that point, they can cash it in if they need it or whatever they want to do.
Right.
I can't imagine, maybe people do go 20 years ago, take a day off.
And, yeah, they can still cash in, if you let them cash in on that.
What's the difference between the 480 and the 380? What's your justification?
Because I think employees, a lot of time to pay out. But
I don't have an issue. If they're maxed out on that, if they hit that 480 and want to request 100 hours getting paid out, I'm okay with it because their rate that they're getting paid out is lower now than it's gonna be when they retire. We're gonna pay them at a smaller hourly rate than we are when they retire.
What about 380? I mean, if you still pay out,
I like the savings just because of maternity leave. We don't offer maternity leave, so if there's somebody that hasn't paid maternity or paternity, it can be used either way. It's FMLA that they can use that for. And that's in place for that.
but most of the people that are on maternity are the younger people. This,
But there's other people, if an older person gets cancer and needs time off to go through their treatment, that's there for that.
I just think that's an awful lot compared to what I call the real world. 480, I don't know very many places.
You're comparing apples to oranges, because the private sector pays more too.
Um,
I want to discuss it with some department heads and those
Yeah.
affected,
Yeah.
come back to it.
yeah, it's not just the
Thank you.
department heads. That we need to talk to the taxpayers.
My company gives 16 weeks. They combine the personal leave with the FMLA, with vacation time, and get 16 weeks paid for maternity. And they do that with a combination of which you have on hand. So your personal time, Jesus, it's a lot of hours there. So if we give them 4 weeks,
What, sir?
for maternity, we get 4 weeks,
You get 0 weeks.
0 weeks.
0. For maternity. You get 0 for anything.
Todd, take that.
Sure.
We're ready for it, unless you guys have a. All right, the board will now allow up to 30 minutes for comments from the public. Speakers will be called in the order in which they have signed up. Individual speakers must first state their first and last name for the record. Each individual speaker may speak up to 2 minutes. Comments should be limited to one topic and should avoid personal attacks. Details regarding the full public comment policy is available upon request. First, we have Doug.
I probably don't need to speak, I'm on the representative for the board of Harrison County REC board. Kurt answered all your questions, I congratulate you guys for researching this info, not just knee-jerk reaction, what you read on the internet. I will say one thing, it's kept us, Kurt, I think, can testify to this, it's kept, that deal we put up with Woodbine, that has kept us from raising rates this year on one of the many things. So that has helped, so that's a fact. So I just, adding on to everything Kurt said, he
Thanks,
answered
guys,
your
for coming.
questions.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
So that's it, okay.
Next, we have Kurt, you circled yes?
Yeah, like Doug said, we've already kind of hit what I was after. I'm representing Harrison County RDC, and just want to appreciate you guys for doing, your due diligence on this process. And like Doug said, it's not just doing a knee-jerk signature on a moratorium. And I would love to be part of any discussion. I'd like to be a resource, offer my resources to any of you in the process of bringing in these ordinances and benefit our situation, because they are, we have a very small commercial load site-ready places in Harrison County. We're lack of a lot of utilities that would have a conventional commercial load. These are ones that would fit our housing and our infrastructure areas better than a lot of, 500 employee businesses.
Right, thank you. Todd Denton.
Yeah, just with the 480 down to 380, I guess whatever, but when you're comparing private sector to public sector, you are comparing, you should do a wage comparison on a lot of that too, because the reason that people are in this sector versus the private a lot of times is the benefits are a little better. They take a pay cut for the benefits to be better. So when you start swiping that away, you're gonna start seeing a lot of potentially people that would be good hires not doing it because it just doesn't make sense to do one over the other. And also you're gonna probably see people, potentially, you can see people abuse it. But they can only make 380. You're gonna start seeing people with time off, and in certain departments you're paying time and a half to have somebody fill that spot. So just something to be mindful of. People use their time, they appreciate their time off. Again, we start out with 0 hours of vacation and 3 personal days. In our particular field, 30 days a year you get off. So it's something that
Thank you. Leanna Goodrich.
Yeah, my name's Leanna Goodrich, and I'm from, my address is Logan, what I'm supposed to say, name and my address. Anyway, I just wanted to, express, that I think maybe it's time, in light of what's come out now about the whole COVID scam, and, what happened with Anthony Fauci, and all of the lies that have been exposed, and how detrimental and dangerous, and I could just go on and on about what that did to our country, to the people, and even to our own residents in Harrison County. I know we were forced into masks for an entire year. As a teacher, I was forced to teach kids how to sing in masks. I got a front row seat to how damaging that was to our children, to their mental health, to their physical health, and it's heartbreaking because we were forced into that, and now we find out it was all just a big scam. It was a big lie. And I think that as a board, I know you guys were not here when that was voted in by our supervisor board, but it was voted in by our supervisor board to put us all in masks. And our health board, of course, promoted it and continued to promote it no matter how many people brought up their strong concerns. I think it's time for a public apology. Maybe it's time for Harrison County to be first and to say, hey, that was wrong. We should not have done that. We didn't follow the science. We followed people that apparently had some agendas that were not pure. And I think maybe it'd be a really appropriate thing for you to do, even though you weren't the ones that were here and voted that in. I know that wasn't your responsibility. But now it would be a really positive thing to make that statement and say, we apologize as a supervisor board.
I was on that board and I voted against it. I do
Thank you.
apologize. I thought that was
I think that needs to be
ridiculous
said to
thing.
the public.
And
And since this is my time,
I'm the only
I'm
one
gonna-
who was there at the time, but I do apologize, and I was against it, still against it, and I thought it was
Maybe that needs to be said to our entire county, not just in this.
newspaperman's right here. So.
Okay, that would be very appropriate, and I think well received by those of us who had to kind of carry out those mandates in a really heavy-duty way. Had to get my kids up every few minutes and walk them around the room. Why? They're going past each other, it's gonna confuse the virus. I mean, we had to do that kind of ridiculous stuff. And now to find out, no, that was actually damaging our children, forcing them into masks. Sorry, I'm pretty passionate about this. And I think it's time for a public apology.
Thank you. Lynn?
All right, I'm Lynn Goodrich, I live in Logan also. I think it's also time that we hold the County Board of Health responsible for the mess they created. Because I talked to the superintendent at our school. He was going based on their recommendation, and their recommendation only. It didn't matter how many people you lined up out there to say, we don't want this, didn't matter. These doctors on this Board of Health, they know what's going on. They didn't know what was going on, but they said they did. And yet they're still on that board. They need to be off. Get them off the board. There should be term limits on all boards that aren't elected. And you need to be having turnover. We had people that actually asked to be on that board, and you turned them all down. And you put the same people back on that board. And it's you guys that are doing that. And you put them on, you can take them off. And it's time for you to start moving people off of those boards and getting new people on them. Because they're actually oppressing people out here. Now, 6 years later, we're seeing what that oppression has done. But it took 6 years to finally come out. We knew it clear back then. You had an entire courtroom full of people up there saying, don't do it. Yeah, you weren't on the board then, but Tony
I was the
knows.
only one.
Yeah, they filled this place full of people. We don't want that. They did it anyway. You don't care about what the people think. You only care about what you think. But it's time to actually do something and start moving people off of some of this stuff that they don't care what the people think either. They're pretty safe. Nobody's going to take our spot because nobody's allowed to. It's not because they can't, it's they're not allowed to. And that falls on you. Thank you.
Laura.
I would agree with what he said because I wanted to be on one of those boards and I didn't have enough letters behind my name in order to get on, which is not supposed to matter. And there were several others that need to be removed from the board, but that's not what I wanted to talk about data centers. I really disagree with data centers. Matthew's house is beside a data center. You go there and it's a humming noise constantly. It is not like what you guys, or what they had said it was going to be. It is very annoying, super loud, and he's got cows in 2 different spots. So the cows that are not near the data center do better. They weigh more, they seem healthier, but then when he brings them back and he switches, the same thing happens. They start to lose weight and the other ones gain. Why is that happening? These data centers are not what they're saying they are. Data mining centers. It's annoying, loud, and it obviously is affecting wildlife. He now has about 0 deer and other wildlife around him. Why is that? It's not what you think they are. You don't live by them. And I feel bad for Matthew. And it is much bigger than what they said it was going to be. Much bigger. Thank you.
Matthew.
I'm Matthew Soapmilk. I'm the lucky one that gets to live right next to the fans. That's not what my mom said. Currently, only half of them are running, so I assume when the next half start going, they're going to be a little more louder. It was my dream to buy a farm. I raise organic cattle. I don't know what that's doing to them outside of losing weight. Long term, I have a goal of one day becoming certified organic because I run an organic business and sell that beef to them or to consumers. Trying to think what else. I was told it was gonna be like less than a grain bin hum. Honestly, I'd rather have a grain bin running outside of my bedroom than listening to this thing. 24/7, it never shuts off. There's LED lights that blare through the grates of the fans. Like down in Texas, granted this is a data mining center, down in Texas, the data centers that they have for like Google or whatever, there's been reports of stillbirths in cattle. Yeah, I don't want that, I guess, to put that plainly. It's an eyesore. I haven't talked to many neighbors around, but I was told by a current board member that it had to be within, or they had to be outside of however many feet or yards, unless the landowner or homeowner was okay with it. Well, it's definitely inside of that range of my house to my basement, or to the closest corner of my house. I think it's like 16 or 1,800 feet. I was told it's supposed to be 2,100 feet. I was supposed to be contacted by the director, or whatever he is, of REC. He failed to do that. I agree with everybody else on accountability, and why stuff was hidden like it is. I get that they're trying to do things for the county and bring prices down, but they're not necessarily thinking of the long-term effects and who has to live near them and listen to all this crap. Thank you.
I'll amend my motion. I'll move to approve the minutes for August 6th. Oh, yeah, for August 6th.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we had the McNeil, you and I.
Drainage thing, yeah.
That was August fifth.
Move to approve the minutes for August fourth, within agreement.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, yes.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?